Hello folks, this is Sula speaking. You're listening to another video for Teamfight Tactics. This is a video taken not from set 12, which is the current set of TFT, but from the revival mode of set 5.5. So this is a set that they've brought back. Previously, the developers brought back set 3 temporarily, and this time they decided to bring back set 5, or more precisely set 5.5. I will say I was very surprised that this is a set that they chose to bring back. Set 5 was not a very popular set. In fact, it's been one of the worst received sets over the course of TFT's history, but for some reason they decided to bring this one back. I think it's probably because they didn't want to do set 6 because they are going to do probably a very similar set for set 13. That's just a guess, but that's what I think. By the way, we end up getting the Crab Rave portal here, so that means we're going to have very, very heavy loot in this game. And I think that they didn't do set 4 because they recently did set 10, which the music set had the same set mechanic. It had the Chosen mechanic, which was renamed to the Headliner mechanic. So I think that those sets were probably out because of those reasons, and they maybe didn't want to do set 7 because they thought it was too recent. So I'm guessing that as a result, they decided, well, I guess we'll do set 5. But it's still very, very weird that they picked this set to come back again. One thing that I did like about this set coming back is they put a lot of the cosmetic content associated with set 5 back into the rotating shop. And this background, this one that has like the 8-bit graphics, that's always something that I always wanted to have this. Now, I had bought the set pass for set 5.5 when it actually came out. And that I bought that even though I only played set 5.5 for like literally like the very last day of the set. I think I spammed a couple games on the last day of the set so I could get the ranked rewards. But I barely played set 5.5 at all. And I purchased the pass just so I could basically get the Order Feather Knight, which, by the way, is also back in the rotating shop. At the time, we naively thought that if you didn't buy the pass stuff at the time, you would never have an opportunity to get those things because that was how it was advertised. But it turned out that that was a lie, and all that stuff that was supposed to be one time only is now in the rotating shop. That might make some people upset. It didn't really bother me that much, though. And that's because I don't really care if people have a chance to access things that they otherwise might not have a chance to access. But the main thing that's nice about that is to cut this very long and rambling story short is now it does mean that I had a chance to get these backgrounds. So I was able to get this one and the dungeon one as well. All right, so far not that much has really happened. I'm looking at the different options here. I don't really like any of these that much, so I'm going to take this one. Patience is a virtue. Each round gain 2 free rerolls if you did not buy a champion in the last round. That's something that sounds good, but I don't feel like it actually is that good in practice. The main reason being that you'll be surprised. You end up buying champions most rounds in the game, so you don't really get this benefit all that often. So yeah, at this point, I still don't really know what I'm playing all that well. I just decided that I would put Hellion trait in here, and I was going to go ahead. I actually intended to make Rageblade here, but I accidentally made Giant Slayer first. I really wanted to make Rageblade here, but that was a misclick because I didn't really have a good way of using rods, and then I ended up making the Giant Slayer instead, which was not what I was looking for. Giant Slayer is not a good item to make at the start of the game because Giant Slayer is an item that you deal more damage to high health targets. Well, basically nothing hits the health threshold at the start of the game. So it's a very poor item to make right at the start of the game. And it was not something I would have done. But as I said, I was clicking quickly. I clicked too fast. And so I ended up making the Giant Slayer. And now I have a leftover rod, which is, again, not something that I want. I was actually hoping of going into Draconic trait here because I got the early Ash drop. Excuse me. And anytime you get an early Ash or an early Zyra, you should be looking to go at least some of the time into Draconic trait. As a refresher, again, it's been 3 years since set 5 was out. Draconic trait is the economic trait in this set. And what it does is it puts dragon eggs on your bench. They hatch after a certain number of rounds, and they will give you various rewards. Typically, it's additional gold. It's typically either additional gold or champions. If you're able to get up to Draconic 5, you can start getting like item components that hatch out of the eggs and other goodies out of them. They take different amounts of time to hatch. The longer the eggs take to hatch, the better the stuff that's in them. The initial eggs typically will hatch in 1, 2, or 3 rounds, but occasionally you'll get one that takes 5 rounds to hatch, and that will have better stuff in it. So I was hoping to do that. I've actually got 2 out of 3 ashes, which is a little weird, but I don't have either the 1 cost or the 2 cost. And then by the way, I get this Zyra. So the way Draconic works is there is a 1 cost champion, which is Udyr, who's a really bad unit. And then you have a 2 cost unit who is Set, who is a somewhat better unit. Yeah, I'm highlighting it right now. So there's a 1 cost, a 2 cost, 2 3 cost, that's Ashe and Zyra. And then there's a 4 cost and a 5 cost in Galio and Heimerdinger. So I have both of the 3 costs, but I don't have the 1 cost or the 2 cost, which is pretty weird to say the least. And again, I'm just trying to play around what I've been hitting thus far. I still don't have a great sense of what I want to go with this particular team composition. I'm just trying to make some money and go from there. Again, I think that my board would definitely be better if Ashe had a Rage Blade right now, because she's an auto attack based champ. Ashe in this set is one of those champion designs that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense and doesn't really fit anymore. Ashe is an auto attack based champion who has Ranger trait, which gives you additional attack speed, but she deals magic damage and she fires an arrow that stuns. So yeah, Ashe dealing magic damage is not really something that you would expect in a set like this, but as I said, some of the champion designs in the earlier sets were just kind of really wonky, and that's one of them. I was hoping that I might be able to get a bow, but the bow is the first thing that gets taken. Bows seem to have pretty high priority here. Not really seeing a whole lot I want, so I'm like, well, you know what? There's a Set on the carousel. If I can't find Set in the store, I'll just go ahead and take him off the carousel here. So that was pretty odd. I found Ashe and Zyra in the shop, and then I find an Udyr, or not an Udyr, a Set on the carousel. So I was like, okay, well, I can use this to get up to the 3 Draconic. So we'll go ahead and do this. And I mean, I could opt to play the Ziggs, but I was like, I can probably find something better than that. Remember, there is also the golden item remover here in this game mode. Everybody always gets a golden item remover, so you can take items off anyone that you want. And I picked up the Gragas pair because I was thinking maybe I can put Brawler trait in play with the Set. Set has Brawler. He is not a Knight. Again, the main frontline traits in this set are Knight and Brawler and Cavalier. And we kind of have some of each of them. Also this, back from earlier sets, you might notice Ashe just gets jumped on immediately. Yeah, Assassins, they're in this set. They have been taken out of the more modern sets, but this is an older set, so they are still in there. And if you're unable to protect your carries, then Assassins will just jump on them and kill them. That was a little sad because Zyra was about to get a cast off. I don't know if she would have killed the Misfortune in the back lines or not, but at least would have been closer. So even though I think my board is pretty comparable to strength to this board, I just end up losing very quickly because the Assassins jump on Ashe and kill her instantly. And then I'm trying to sell Gragas to get to 20. It looks like I did barely manage to get that off. Here is our first Draconic Egg. It will take 3 rounds to hatch, and then we'll get something out of it. Note that this does count the minion rounds. The Draconic Eggs do count the minion rounds, not just the PvP rounds, if I remember correctly. So it's a little bit closer to hatching than you might think. And like this person's also playing Draconic over here. I don't plan on playing this long-term. Draconic is more something that you run in the early game and then transition out of as the game goes on, unless you are able to get 5 Draconic in very early, and you can try to 3-star. You kind of would have to 3-star all the units to make it worthwhile. It's a little bit like the Astral trait from set 7 in that regard. Like, all of the Draconic units are kind of bad units, and the expectation is if you want them to be viable, you kind of have to 3-star all of them, or else they're not going to be that useful. So anyway, we're just kind of chilling here. Overall, it's been a pretty good stage 2. I just had that one loss. Obviously, it would have been nice to keep that going. We're up against a Hellions board here. Hellions jump out of the portal when they die. So when Hellions die, they come out of the portal at 1 star level lower. That person also had Abomination trait in as well. So I ended up losing that round too. But as I said, it was a pretty good round overall. Now there's an Udyr here, so I could technically play the Udyr if I wanted to, but I'm not trying to go up to 5 Draconic. I don't think that's going to happen. Also note that I finally get the 2 free rerolls for the first time, so I can pick up some of these. Note, by the way, that the rerolls are from this augment I have. They're kind of anti-synergistic with itself in the sense that when you don't buy a champion, you get 2 free rerolls. But once you activate those rerolls, that makes it more likely that you'll buy more champions and not get the bonus again the next round. So as I said, it's kind of anti-synergistic with itself for what that's worth. As I said, I don't really think that this is... I don't really like this augment all that much. It just kind of happened to be what I got there. Also note the absolutely insane amount of loot that I'm getting here. That's because this is Crab Rave, and you always get a lot of loot from Crab Rave. So yeah, you notice that the Draconic Egg did hatch even though that was a minion round. So I could play the Brand here for Spellweaver. I could also play the Varus for Ranger trait. And I think in the end I end up playing the Varus. Also note how many pairs I have. I have a Leona pair, I have an Ashe pair, I have a Set pair, and I have a Varus pair. So I have 4 pairs on my bench here. I go ahead and make the Sunfire Cape because why not? I don't have a heal cut in my board. I mean, Sunfire Cape's not going to be amazing late game, but I think it's good enough for the time being here. And again, we're just trying to hang out here. I've got enough econ that I can go to level 6. Again, this is a Crab Rave portal, so everybody's going to have tons and tons of loot in this game. And so you need to be thinking in a lobby like this where it's going to be very heavy on econ, you need to be thinking about how you can try to cap out your board. And that's with like something that's going to be expensive because there's going to be so much money. It's going to be very easy to get to like level 9 and try to play 4 and 5 cost units. So I was trying to think about where I wanted to go. I didn't really have a plan right up until I get this augment here. I'm like, none of these are that great. And then I see this Knight Crest, gain a Knight Emblem and Thresh. And as soon as I see that, I was like, oh, okay. I can look to play 6 Knights with this. Now, Knight is not a trait that's makeable with a spatula. And by the way, back when this game was played, when this set originally came out, there were no there were no augments at the time this was played. By the way, it looks like we got an Ashe and a Set out of that Dragon Egg. That was the one that took 3 rounds to hatch. That was pretty nice. So what this means is I can go up to 6 Knights with this. Now that you can play 6 Knights normally, but it's normally not worthwhile to play 6 Knights. There are actually 7 Knights in the game. But normally never mind, there's 6 Knights in the game. Set is being counted as a Knight because I have the emblem on him. So there's 6 Knights overall. You can technically hit this without getting an emblem, but it's almost never worth playing 6 Knights if you don't have an emblem because you have to run 2 1-cost units. Poppy is a 1-cost Knight and Leona is a 1-cost Knight. So that's not really very good in the late game unless you would happen to 3-star them. But with +1 from the emblem, it becomes much more reasonable to play 6 Knights. I was like, all right, I'm going to look to play 6 Knights. And there's one comp that plays really, really well into Heavy Knights, and that is playing Kale. Kale is the unit that works really, really well with lots of Knights. So as soon as I see this, I'm like, all right, the plan now is we're going to try to get to level 9, try to find Kale on level 9. We'll use Draconic to rush to level 9 and use the econ to get there. Then we're going to look to find Kale. So I definitely want to build Kale items, and we'll look to play Redeemed around that. Because I want to go to 6 Knights, I probably will not be able to get to 6 Redeemed, which is what I would really like. But I probably will not be able to do that. Kale's traits are Redeemed in Legionnaire. She actually does not have Knight as a trait because she is a carry, not a tank. But Knight provides a team-wide benefit. Knight is just flat damage reduction. I believe the 4 Knights is -40 damage, and that comes off of every single attack, by the way. So it's quite strong, particularly in the early game at blocking damage, but it actually scales well into the late game as well. Because, you know, every attack that does, like right now, every attack that hits for 90 damage, you know, that goes down to 50 damage. And that's, I believe that's, I can't remember if that's before or after armor and magic resistance are applied, but still, it's quite good overall. And Kale is a unit that scales throughout the fight. I'll talk more about her when we have a chance to find Kale. But because she scales really well throughout the fights, you just want a front line that can just stand up there and tank for a really long time, and that's what she can do. That's what the 6 Knights will be able to do. All right, so again, we're just kind of hanging out there. Right now, my front line's very tanky because I have the 4 Knights in. Biggest weakness is I don't really have much damage at the moment. Really don't do that much damage, so I'm trying to do my best with that. Again, a Rage Blade would really, really help. It's unfortunate that I made that Giant Slayer early in the game, but it is what it is. As I said, I had a misclick. I'm still trying to find a way to use that rod. And look, we'll go ahead and level here. I'll go ahead and put the Varus on the board. That'll put Ranger trait in. Ranger's a trait that gives attack speed to units that have the Ranger trait. It's not team-wide. So that'll help Ashe get a few more attacks off. Like I said, I just don't really have that much damage right now. Ashe is a pretty poor carry in this game. She's really intended to be more of a trait bot and a support unit that provides crowd control. She is not intended to be a mainline carry, but she's what I've got for right now. So we'll continue to play around that. And she's kind of interesting because she can hold both AD and AP items, but she kind of doesn't hold either of them very well, if that makes sense. But she can hold both AD and AP items. Particularly, she can hold attack speed items. Attack speed plus AP, I guess, if you're going to be building her that way. So anyway, we're already level 7. As I said, the amount of loot in this Crab Rave lobby is very, very high. And yeah, we're just going to continue econing here, hoping that we get more useful stuff out of the dragon eggs. And then we also have the most important round of the game here in set 5.5. This is the Radiant Armory. On 3-6, you get a Radiant Armory that will pop up. It should pop up any second now. There it is. So we're going to get a Radiant item here. And it's a choice out of 5 random items. I've never liked this, by the way. I've always hated this mechanic. So I'm looking at the different options here, and I was like, you know, I think the Radiant Ionic Spark is going to be pretty good because I'm trying to play into Kale, and she actually does a mixture of physical and magic damage. She does quite a bit of magic damage. So Radiant Ionic Spark to shred the magic resistance of the enemy team is going to be pretty nice. I think I'll look to pick that up and work with that. So this is the big set mechanic for set 5.5. The original set 5 had shadow items as its mechanic, which was one of the worst received items in the history of Teamfight Tactics. One of the worst mechanics that they ever did. But this set 5.5 had radiant items, and this is how they were implemented is on stage, on stage 3-6, the one that we're on right now, you get an armory pops up, which is what that little thing is called, and there are 5 items. They are completely random which ones will pop up, and you just have to pick one, and then you get the use of it. Again, I've always hated this because what pops up in those armories is completely random. By the way, I do end that person's win streak, which is pretty nice. Like, you can get something that hits your team, or you can get something that utterly whiffs your team, and if you don't get a useful radiant item, you're just kind of like down a radiant item relative to the rest of the lobby for the whole game. It just feels like there's way too much swinginess on this. Now, in this game, I've ended up getting a radiant item that's pretty good for my setup. And, you know, you can usually get something that's pretty good, but there is always the chance that you're just going to get 5 things that are just not useful for your team, which is not the best. So, as I said, I've never really liked this. By the way, again, Crabrave drops a tremendous amount of loot. And then, oh, what's this? We have gotten a Reforger and a Frying Pan. Yes. Frying pans obviously did not exist in the game when this came out. We also got a bow, so now I can finally look to make that Rage Blade I wanted. So we can definitely look to that. By the way, notice that I'm already level 8, and I keep getting more of these. Rods. So okay, we'll go ahead and do the Rage Blade. And then I was like, okay, can I make anything with the Frying Pan? No, not really. There's really nothing there I want, but I could really use a redeemed emblem. So what I could do is I could reforge this Frying Pan into a spatula. That's my hope there. I was like, oh, okay, so let's go ahead and do this. If you reforge a Frying Pan, it becomes a spatula. And then a redeemed emblem is a cloak plus the spatula. So now I need to get a cloak, and that's what I'm going to be looking for next. I was able to get the Rage Blade there, and that's an item that's going to go on Kale. So I've got the Rage Blade plus the Giant Slayer. These are both good items on Kale. And then I'm going to have to figure out something to do with the rest of these. Now, this player is apparently not in the lobby or went AFK or something because they don't appear to be here. But I want to do something with these other items. And I could potentially look to put them on Zyra because I can always take items that are on Zyra and put them on a Vel'Koz later on. Also, the final augment is Prismatic, which is not what I want. I was like, I'm looking at these. I could upgrade another item to Radiant, but I don't think that that's that great in a high loot lobby. So I take the random option, and it turns out that I get a training dummy with double lockets. This is really, really good for my setup. This is actually going to be extremely strong because it's going to give me more frontline. And again, the whole purpose of my comp is just to stall for as long as possible. And it's going to give me more frontline that lets me do that. The locket will, of course, put a max health shield on all the units that stand up there on the front line. And that's going to synergize perfectly with having these knights, which are very tanky units. So again, the goal is just to stall out the fights until I can get Kale. And the locket plus 6 knights is going to help me do that. So now I'm looking for Galio and looking for Garen. And then I also need to find the Kale herself. But again, Kale's a 5 cost, so I'm not really expecting to see her yet. I'm more expecting to see her if I can get to level 9. So I'm just, again, trying to get to 9 as quickly as possible. Still making use of these Draconic Eggs. And, you know, my board's not amazing, but it is quite tanky. So even if I lose these fights, I'm generally not losing them that one-sidedly, if that makes sense. You actually have a little backline damage here from the Zyra and also from the Poppy shield toss actually hitting the backline. So yeah, the Knights plus the Locket are actually really strong. So I got pretty lucky here on the augment. That Call to Chaos can do like 15 different things, and I ended up getting something that was quite useful for me. Anyway, there's another Ash, there's another set. So, like, obviously I could hold these units and try to make the 3-star copies, but I'm not planning on playing Draconic long term. We're going to get to level 9, and I think we can get there very fast. We probably can get there by the end of stage 4. And, like, I have 83 health in the bank, so I've got plenty of health to work with here. Right now, I'm looking at these other units here. I'm looking at the other redeemed units. Again, if you can see what the ability does, redeemed units gain armor, magic resist, and ability power. When they die, the bonus is split amongst the remaining units. I also go ahead and buy a Callista just so I can see who the other Legionary units are. That actually is going to cost me the 2 free shop rerolls, but I wanted to just see who the other Legionary units are. And I remembered when I saw that Aatrox is actually redeemed plus Legionary, so I'd like to play Aatrox on the board because there's an internal synergy with redeemed between Kale and Aatrox. They actually have the same they have the same traits there. They both have redeemed and Legionary, so I would like to get that unit on the board. But that is a 1-cost unit, and the odds of seeing Aatrox are a little bit low as I keep pushing closer and closer to 9. So I'm going to have to try to keep my eyes open for that. All right, now it's time for yet another one of these carousels. I am last pick again because I am win streaking. Even though I don't feel like my board is that great, I am still win streaking here. So I'm going to have to try to find something here. I wouldn't mind getting my highest priority is the cloak because that would allow me to make the redeemed emblem. That's gone. I don't get that because it's on an action, who's another 5 cost. But I do get a glove, and that's going to allow me to make Hand of Justice with this tier. Hand of Justice is one of Kale's best items because it applies to both her physical and magic damage, which she does a mixture of here. If for some chance I can't get a cloak to make the redeemed emblem, then alternately what I could do is I could make a Cavalier emblem with the the vest. So that's why I'm not committing that either. And I'm getting pretty close to level 9. I'm only like, what, 25 gold off? So I could potentially look to go level 9 right here if I wanted to. I could also put like the Lux in for redeemed trait. But I think that I took my time. I continued to be patient here. Again, there's a long... we're only at the end of stage 4. It just, again, goes to show how much loot there is in this lobby. Between it being a Crabgrave portal and the Draconic eggs that I've been selling throughout the match, I just have an incredible amount of econ here. So right now the Ash is holding items that are intended for Kale. And then I do have some items that could, like Zyra, if she has any AP items, they could go on Vel'Koz. And then the tank items will probably go on like a Galio down the road. All right, now that's the first round I've lost in a while. I'm not surprised that some of these boards are stronger than me. Like that person had 3-star Vayne. Vayne's a 1-cost, but still. And then a Forgotten Emblem over there. By the way, I'm seeing so many Dravens in my shop. So I decided because I have the free shop rerolls, I'll go to level 9 so I can use those shop rerolls. There is a Vel'Koz, so I'll pick that up and definitely put that. That puts redeemed trait in play. And I'd also like to find another knight so I could get the 6 knights in. By the way, there's Teemo. Teemo does not cost any gold to purchase, does cost 6 health to purchase, which is one of the fun mechanics in this set. So we're about ready to move out of the Draconic. As I said, I'll look to roll it down here on level 9. And by the way, being level 9 on stage 4-6 seems completely wild. I might as well put some items on the Vel'Koz, though. And like the Morello's is really good on him because his laser hits a good portion of the board. So I'm quite happy to have him going in there. He also makes redeemed trait. So there we go. There's the laser. Going to apply it to whoever had that Talisman of Ascension over there. And I don't know what this person was getting, but they just get knocked out right there. They had some kind of golden orbs hatching. I don't know quite what that was. I think they had, did they have Draconic in or something? But whatever it was, they didn't get it because they just died right there. Little unlucky for them. All right, now Garen has popped up in the story. This is nice. So we're going to start taking out some of the other units that we don't need to play. Like Zyra can come out of the board. I don't need her anymore. So Garen gets us up to the 6 knights. Again, 6 knights, I believe, is 60 damage reduction. It's either 60 or 70. It's a lot of flat damage reduction. And then we're going to see what we get out of this minion round. Again, I really, really, really want a cloak here so that I can make the redeemed emblem with my spatula. That will maybe allow me to play 6 redeemed. I'm not quite sure, but that would be nice. There's another glove there. Okay, so that's a possibility. Let's see what else we can get. So it's going to come down to this. There is the cloak, thank goodness. It's 50-50 odds as far as we'd be able to get that. By the way, note that the Draconic eggs are still hatching even though I don't have Draconic trait in. And we're going to go ahead and put this on somebody. So there's a redeemed emblem. And now we need to roll a bit. There is Rel. I'm 100% going to play her. So we can start taking out some of these other units, potentially. I will move the knight emblem over to Rel, which is going to be really, really nice. Now I'm on 5 redeemed. So if I can find Kale, I can get 6 redeemed. There's another Vel'Koz. Okay, I need to keep rolling here. And out of the items left over, I was like, all right, well, let's see. I could do Steadfast Heart, or I could do Jeweled Gauntlet for Vel'Koz. That actually feels better. I feel like I have enough frontline. I feel like what I need is more damage on my board. So we've got the 6 knights. We have 5 redeemed. We also picked up Ironclad with the Rel plus the Nautilus. That's a team-wide armor benefit. And it doesn't look like we'll be able to play into Mystic trait in this game, but we've got most of what else we want. And even though I'm still kind of lacking in damage, that front line is really hard to kill. So the Ashe was able to stand up. Ashe does 6,000 damage there. We're really just missing the Kale, so we'll do that. I will pick up these Nautiluses because who knows, maybe I can 3-star it. You never know. And I did just get a duplicator, so that helps too. All right, there is the Kale. By the way, I'm already on 6 Nautiluses, so there we go. Now we put in the Kale, and there we go. 6 knights, 6 redeemed. That's why getting the emblem was so important, because that allowed me to play the 6 knight, the 6 redeemed. All right. And there's another Nautilus. I'm on 7 of them. And then there's 2-star Garen. And finally, the Galio shows up as well. Do I remember to pick up the Galio? Yes. Okay, so now we need to transfer these tank items over to someone else. So I'll put the Radiant Ionic Spark and the Gargoyles on Garen, because Garen is 2-starred with Redeem in. It's 2-star Garen with 6 knights, 6 redeemed. I mean, he's going to be an absolute monster in these fights. Garen's actually a Dawnbringer, but we've turned him into a redeem unit in this fight. And yeah, he's going to continue to hang in there. And this fight's pretty close. I think this board's probably the strongest one I've seen in a while. But it looks like we are going to last long enough to win this one. And there we go. Going to be able to beat that. Yeah, they were win streaking as well. They were on 80 health and I was on 70 health. So I'm pretty content with that. And now we just want to try to 2-star the remainder of our board. Remember, I'm still level 9 here. I will also go ahead and look to put the Sunfire Keep on Rel because she's a 2-star 4 cost and also has redeemed, whereas like Galio does not have redeemed. I'm also still trying to find Aatrox. Like I would replace the Varus with Aatrox if I could, because that would put Legionnaire trait in for Kale, but it's a little tricky finding that unit. Unfortunately, I can only play, and I'm picking up these Varuses because I was like, well, if I'm going to reroll for Nautilus 3, I mean, maybe I hit Varus 3, I guess. Feels a little unlikely. Otherwise, what's her name? The Lux would definitely be better otherwise. I don't really need damage from Varus. Like Lux, who provides a shield to the team, would definitely be better. But yeah, so I still have a lot to hit. I still have Kale 1-star. I still have Vel'Koz 1-star. But my front line is like absolutely amazing with this setup here. Now, we're about to have another carousel. So we'll see what we can get off of this one. If I could somehow get another redeemed emblem, I could maybe go to level 10 and play 8 redeemed, which would be insane. But I don't think that that's too likely to happen. Let's see what we have here. Okay, so that's not there. There's no emblems here, but there is another Kale here. So I was like, all right, I'll just take another Kale for Kale 2-star. That works for me. That's probably better than anything else I can get on this carousel. It's not like I need any of these. I have enough frontline items, and I guess I could take like a Shojin for the Vel'Koz, but I think just getting Kale 2-star is better. I was considering using my duplicator on the Kale, but no need for that. I'm just going to grab the Kale off the carousel, and that'll work here. So Kale, let me just cover. By the way, there's yet another Nautilus, so now I'm on 8 Nautiluses, so I've got really good odds to 3-star this. And we'll go ahead and move some of the tank items around. All right, so as far as Kale goes, Kale has a really unique ability, which is that she scales over the course of the fight. She actually does not have mana at all. She just scales up in time over the course of the fight. And there's an Aatrox that I missed, by the way. I missed this Aatrox. I was wondering if I had missed one earlier, but yeah, I did not end up spotting this unit over the course of the game. That's unfortunate. Should have grabbed that and replaced the Varus, and then that would have put Legionnaire trait in place for Kale. Anyway, if you watch her, she does not have a mana bar. She has like a little ticking clock, for lack of better words, that is like an orange text on it in this game. And what happens is every 5 seconds she ascends, she gains additional combat benefits every 5 seconds. So I believe it takes her 20 seconds to fully ascend, but once she does that, she like calls down flaming swords from the sky and just does like absolutely insane amounts of damage. Yeah, they start doing true damage when you get like close to the full ascension. So Kale is a very binary unit in the sense that she is almost useless if you don't have her correctly itemized. And she doesn't really do a whole lot under most of those circumstances. But if she has good items, which she does here, she wants Rage Blade and Hand of Justice and then like one other item. The Giant Slayer is actually not bad because a lot of units by the end of the game trigger the Giant Slayer amount. if she has good itemization and she has like 6 redeemed in and she has a tanky front line, she just needs enough time to ascend. And if she does that, then she will start killing the entire enemy team. And it's pretty disgusting. So I just need to keep her safe. I'm actually putting her in the middle of the board because I think that's safer than the corners. The good news is she does have innate healing with that Hand of Justice. So even if she takes some chip damage, she will heal it back over the course of the fight. And these rounds are not really that close. My front line is unbelievably tanky thanks to having the 2-star Rel with a Knight emblem. She does not naturally have Knight trait. Plus having the 2-star Garen with a Radiant Ionic Spark. It's pretty insane. There's another Rel. I might as well pick up these extra Rels because, like, you never know. I am going level 10 here. I just didn't think there was any reason to stay on level 9 and keep rolling anymore. I might as well go level 10 and play another unit because why not? Like, what would I roll for? Another 2 Gallios? I have Galio 1-star, and then I randomly have Thresh 1-star. I mean, okay. There's not much point in staying there just to roll for that. We'll go level 10 and just, play another unit. I grabbed a Heimerdinger because he's such an overpowered unit. He's just good to play on any board, so I might play him. And by the way, note that this is the Crab Rave round, so we've got the super strong Crab Rave. There's actually a chance for 2 people to get knocked out of this lobby here, because there's people on 9 HP and 5 HP, and if they can't kill the stupid crab, then they'll get knocked out. Yeah, one of them just got knocked out by the crab. And let's see, does the other one get knocked out by the crab? I've actually got another item anvil to pull here. So I was like, okay, I guess we'll take another frontline item here. And then, yes, they both got knocked out by the crab. Also, the other player got lost to the crab as well. So I was the only one who was strong enough to beat the crab. And then out of these options, I was like, Spear of Shojin, that's perfect. So now Vel'Koz is like basically perfect items too. So we'll go level 10. Now, I almost never go level 10. But, okay, I'll go level 10. And by the way, there's 7 Rels. I was like, okay, we'll just keep putting more Rels on the board. There's another Heimer, another Galio. Remember, I still have a duplicator here. I was like, so can I find one more Rel? If I find one more Rel, I can just duplicate it for Rel 3-star. Note that at level 10, the odds to get the 4-cost units are 40%, and the odds for the 5-costs are 25%. So your odds really go up to hit the 4 and 5 costs. It's so ungodly expensive to get to level 10. It's really hard to make it here. Really, really hard to make it here. But yeah, my board seems pretty good. Definitely seems pretty strong. So we're going to beat this other player who's playing a like Hellions plus Abomination or like some kind of board over there. Now look at their interface. They had 8 Fiddlesticks. They just hit another one for 3-star Fiddles. I was like, oh, that's not good. But then I get Rel number 8, and I was like, okay, well, you have a 3-star 4-cost, but guess what? I also have a 3-star 4-cost, because I'm out of gold to roll with here, but I hit the Rel. And yes, I am going to choose to duplicate the Rel over choosing to duplicate the Nautilus. I mean, I could have had Nautilus 3-star as well, but I think the Rel 3-star is going to be a little bit better. Now, I also want to shift my items around a little bit because I want to get the Radiant Ionic Spark on the Rel, not the Garen. But I have 3-star Rel, and Rel's a really good tank unit in this game. She has Redeem trait, she has Cavalier trait, and she also has Ironclad trait. Her ability is she puts a shield. She like tethers herself to your furthest unit, and she puts a shield on them and any units between them. And at 3 stars, that shield shields for about 5,500 health. Like, watch how much health watch how big the shield is when Rel gets her shield off. Watch, she's about to get it off. And look at Kale's health bar. Yeah, she has a 5,000 health shield. So, yeah, by the way, Garen did 19,000 damage in that fight. I think my board is pretty unstoppable at this point. Now, if I could get one more Nautilus, that would just cap things off here. But we're going to shift this back. Knight Emblem back there. There's the Radiant Ionic Spark, and we'll put the Gargoyle Stone Plate on Rel just so she doesn't die. And then Garen will get the other items, which are still not bad, but just not quite as OP. And looks like we're not going to get that last Nautilus. Once again, I'm putting Vel'Koz in one corner and Kale in the other corner. That way, and then here at the last second, I moved the Vel'Koz over because the Fiddlesticks was on the right-hand side. So when Fiddlesticks jumps forward, I want the Kale and the Vel'Koz to be on the opposite side. So, I mean, that person is a 3-star Fiddles. Fiddles is a 4-cost unit, so that unit should be super strong. But the Fiddlesticks is going to jump into the middle of my team, and like the Knight tank line just still doesn't really take that much damage. Rel putting that 5,000 HP shield, yeah, 5,430 health shield. Pretty good. Also, any enemy that gets hit by the stun tether gets stunned for 4 seconds. So, yeah. That was not particularly close. That was a pretty easy win, but I was happy with how that game played out. It was kind of like the perfect game there. I was able to get an augment that really helped me with the +1 knight. I was able to use the one spatula that dropped to make the redeem emblem, which was perfect for my setup. Allowed me to play 6 knights, 6 redeemed, and then I just kind of hit the kale and went from there. The 3-star rel was just kind of like a bonus. I think I might have won that lobby even without the 3-star rel, but is what it is. It turned out to be a really good game, and I'll take it. By the way, look at this weird interface. I don't know why the Guide 5 is blocking so much of this. I hope that they fix this. Anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I don't know how much I'm going to do of Set 5.5, but we'll see. If I get an interesting game like this, I'll throw it on YouTube. So until then, take care, folks. I'll see you again soon.